school almost 25 years ago, Alvin has been an entrepreneur. In fact, even in school, Alvin showed his entrepreneurial talent when he used to sell his lunches to his schoolmates. He made his mum make extra sandwiches for him so that he could build his tuck shop enterprise. Alvin has been working in relationship marketing for the past 20 years. He started in the UK and is now based teaching referral marketing programs in Australia. Over the years, Alvin has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs and business owners understand the power of what is relational development and how it can bring business via referrals. As well as Alvin's extensive involvement with BNI, he is the National Director of Ascentive Australia, as a consulting business delivering growth strategies for Australian businesses. Alvin has a beautiful wife called Connie and two wild boys called Finn and Liam. He lives in Perth and works Australia-wide. When Alvin is not working or spending time with his family, he can be found swimming, biking and or running and enjoys the outdoor lifestyle. Alvin's burning desire is to finish a day completing his to-do list, and something no one knows about him, he has never received a wage. His key to success: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so don't let yourself down. You too can have an amazing business and a spectacular life. So welcome, Alvin. I will stop sharing and you can take over. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. And my internet has been flicking, so hopefully you get to hear me right throughout. But I've got a presentation which I'm just going to deliver speaking to you. I don't have any slides, so I hope you're okay. You don't have to look at me on speaker view. You can flick off and flick your eyes around the room at all the cameras if you want. And that is a true story about me starting off my business career with selling my lunches in school. I had to pick my target market very carefully because obviously everyone in school had lunch. I was selling them a second lunch. So I did so by picking the rugby team. So I went to pick the rugby team because I knew that they needed extra food, and I used to sell my lunches to them. I learned a lot about business, believe it or not, doing that, but it was a little sidekick I had. I had them in my locker, and I did other stuff when I was in school as well. So but we won't go into that here. But I've got about 25-30 minutes of stuff that I want to deliver, and let me just run through what you're going to hear, so it gives you a bit of foresight. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about how I got involved in BNI. I've been doing it for 20 years now, and in several different countries. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview there. I'm going to give you some lessons that I learned, and some of the lessons that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you two, but one of them is a bit of a punch. So I hope you're okay with that, and I hope Bernie doesn't mind me throwing it into the mix. But I am going to give you some lessons that I learned. That then is going to move the conversation into how you're going to get the most out of your seats. So I've got a massive drive and a massive passion about helping members make money. I'm one of the area directors here in WA, and I also am involved in the training for members here in WA, and with that right across Australia. Frederick has me flying in and out of all the different states doing some training for him. So I'm well steeped in what I'm going to deliver you today, and then I'm going to open it up to some questions. If you have any, you might not have any. You may be boring me at that point, but I will open it up to some questions. There is one section where I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you a whole heap of numbers. I'm not great at maths and admin, but we're gonna attempt it because I do want to prove a point with some of the facts and figures that I'm going to be telling you. So 20 years ago, I got involved in BNI. I had just moved to Liverpool, England, flown in I got the boat over from Ireland, where I'm from. And I was there for a week. I had literally just found my apartment after staying in a hotel for 6 days, found an apartment, found a gym. And when I was working out in the gym, I saw there was a group of people hanging out in the cafe, And lo and behold, they were a BNI chapter. So I just stuck my head in and said, what's going on here? At the time, Terry Hamill, some people may know Terry on the call, he grabbed hold of me, and that's it. 20 years later, I'm sitting here in front of you. But that was the start of my BNI experience. And I had a cosmetic manufacturing company in Liverpool. I think I'm the only cosmetic manufacturer in the whole of BNI. I could be wrong, but there was certainly none around when I was there. And my business actually manufactured toiletries, so shampoos and creams and soaps and you name it, and we sold them into retail. So through the distribution channels that there are, in order to feed retail. And I literally was starting up from my bedroom. I moved to England to get into a big department store called Boots. It's a big pharmaceutical department store. And that was the premise of me moving to England. And I jumped into BNI, with the view that BNI was going to help me do that. And let me tell you, for the first couple of months, I absolutely loved it. It was a source of inspiration for me with other business owners. It was also social because I didn't know anyone in Liverpool at the time. So I picked up a lot of friends in my group. But after a while, I realized that I wasn't really getting a lot of results. So it came about 8 months into my membership, and I had to make a big choice. I had to decide whether I was going to stay or whether I was just going to flick it off and go try some other marketing. And one meeting, I'll never ever forget this, and a lesson I've learned in communication. One meeting, the lawyer in the room stood up at the contribution section and said, "Hey, Alvin, are you interested in getting contacts into the health food industry, like the health food shops?" The reason I ask you is that I think your deodorant range would actually fit really well on the health food shop that I buy my health food products from. And I looked at him and I said, "Of course that's a good referral, Paul." His name was Paul Bibby. I said, "Of course that's a good referral for you, Paul. What part of that do you think wouldn't be a good referral? That's a great referral." And he goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I didn't think that you wanted that referral. I thought you just wanted to tell us how you made your products and you wanted us to buy your product from you." And I went, No. I want to get into retail, Paul." And he goes, "Oh, well, you should be telling us that." And I went, "Oh." And it was a big light bulb moment for me, because what I was doing for the whole 8 months of my membership was telling my members how great our products were. And I used to bring a product in, I used to show it to them, I used to tell them what was in it, I used to tell them how it was manufactured, I used to tell them all about the fact that we've got a safe and a clean environment in our manufacturing unit. I used to invite them down to show it to them. I used to do everything which I thought was what a BNI presentation was meant to deliver. What I realized was I left out the most important part of your presentation, which was asking for referrals. And if Paul didn't pull me aside and ask me these questions, I most certainly would have left, because I was not making money. Now, since I got that bit of information, my business went from nearly going bust to European distribution. We got into over 1,000 health foods in the UK, over 1,000 pharmacies in the UK. We got into all of the department stores in the UK, including Selfridges, House of Fraser, some of these brand names that you may know. We also then got seen overseas, and we got into France, we got into Spain, we got into all of the other European countries. I was flying to Italy on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, doing training for department stores over there. It just went absolutely nuts. We were in 80% of the pharmacies in Turkey and Iceland. So it went from literally from a bedroom environment right through to a global, hang on, I'm just getting my tea delivered, a global operation. Now, was it all down to BNI referrals? No, but a lot of it was. And what wasn't down to BNI referrals was my ability to be able to communicate correctly to the people that I was in front of, whether that be a prospect or whether it be a referral partner. I was able to communicate correctly. And I see this all the time. I see BNI members just using their presentation time incorrectly. And that was one of the lessons, the first lesson that I learned, and it was invaluable. So if anything I can tell you, when you're using your BNI presentation time, and trust me, you don't get a lot, there's about 60 minutes in a year that you have to present in your chapters. So when you're using that time, you must understand that you have got 100% permission to ask for referrals. You don't have permission to tell members what you do, because that's not why your members are there for. But I thought that that's what I was there for. But if you put it on the other person's plate, the accountants in the room, you've joined BNI to get more clients. Yeah, am I right? In fact, if I asked that question to everyone on this call, you would probably say the same thing. I joined BNI to grow my business. You did not join BNI to learn how to be an accountant. So stop telling people how to be an accountant. Tell people what clients you want to do accounting to. And it was like a light bulb just went on when I realized this. And it literally changed my membership from something that was working or something that wasn't working to something that was extremely beneficial. And it took me down the route it did. The second thing that I learned is that you can present extremely well and professionally and get your point across and look for those opportunities in terms of referrals in your room. But unless you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are active, then it's going to fall on deaf ears. So I could be asking till the cows come home for an introduction into a particular accounting firm or a lawyer firm in Cairns. But if the members don't actually go out and actively find that contact for me, then the referral will never happen. So there's two things that you've got to be really expert at. And the first one is presenting well and presenting correctly and understanding the permissions that you have. And the second thing is surround yourself with active people. And how do you surround yourself with active people? Well, you've got to have a pretty solid membership committee team to guide and guard your chapter membership with quality businesses. And the second way of doing it is to make sure that you're active yourself, because it will rub off and you'll create that culture within the room. So does that give you a bit of guidance around how to present? I know I do a lot of training here in Perth. In fact, I do it once a month. We do referral skills and presentation skills, and I do the training for them. And that's the sort of the meat around the bones that we use. And you've got to understand why you're in the room and understand why other people are in the room. So they're in the room to get business. They're not in the room to learn what you do. If they were excited about what you did, they'd be your competition. So if they're not your competition, then don't tell them what you do. Tell them who you want to do what you do to. That's an Irish saying. It'll take a while to get in. But so I really want to push that home, okay? So if you understand that you've got to be good at communicating, and you've got to surround yourself with active people, the byproduct of that means that you're going to get a whole heap of referrals, and you're going to have a whole heap of opportunity. And the opportunity comes from visitors coming to your room or people visiting your chapter room, because there's plenty of opportunity within visitors. Don't just look at your chapter meeting. The opportunity is just in the referrals. The opportunity is in who you invite along. You guys are also at referrals. Look at some of the figures that you've just produced here in the Pareto Club. Somebody has passed $2.8 million in their lifetime into your whether that's just in the chapter or whether that's in the whole of the North Queensland territory. That is colossal. You've also got some big numbers in terms of what you're passing referral numbers. So there's somebody who's passing 300 referrals since January. I mean, these are huge numbers, you know. But the opportunity isn't only in passing referrals. I mean, that's great, but let's look at what happens when you actually bring visitors to the room. So the question that I want to ask you is do you or can you see that the opportunity exists through an inviting portal, or have you guys really been concentrating heavily on getting the referral activity correct? Because lots of chapters and lots of regions actually concentrate really heavy on getting referrals. And look, that's so important because you've got to show opportunity. You've also got to get business for yourselves. But if you bring visitors to a room, then there's the opportunity actually multiplies. And I want to be able to show you this with actual figures. I want to be able to show you spreadsheets that I've created based on a couple of chapters in your regions. And I want to show you what happens when you actually bring visitors to the room. Let me share my screen here. And this one. Okay, so you're going to see, don't worry, you're going to see a lot of numbers on the screen. These are PAM's data that we pulled from 2 of your chapters. And I'm basing all of this, these numbers and the results of these numbers in the spreadsheet that I'm going to show you based on the power of 1. So you guys know what the power of 1 is. I'm pretty confident. It's attending a chapter meeting, so you got to make sure your attendance is high, bringing referrals, doing your CEUs, doing your one-to-one, bringing visitors, okay? I'm not going to talk about them too much. I'm sure you've been bombarded with every CEU on the planet to tell you why they're important. But I'm going to show you some real numbers here to tell you why these stand out. You guys as a region pass lots and lots of referrals. So as a power of 1 KPI, you're kicking major goals here, okay? In these 2 chapters, I'm going to put them side by side. This chapter here is passing 1,816 referrals, and this one here is passing 1,201. If you were just to do the power of 1, you'd actually be producing less referrals. So whatever you're doing in your referral activity, keep it up because it is outstanding, okay? But where the figures show that there's an improvement needed is around the visitor activity. So this chapter here in a period of 6 months has brought 26 visitors, where if they were following the KPIs of the power of 1, which is 1 visitor a month, there should be 210 visitors brought to the room. And then likewise over here, 233 visitors would be the power of 1 if it's 1 visitor a month. So let's just move down here. If you're seeing the matrix in front of you, let me just explain what's here. The top, these 2 lines here are all about your referral activity. I've put 0 in here because, quite honestly, improving what you're doing is you're going to have to have a power of 2. You know, you're going to have to really step up your game. Your numbers here are very impressive. But when you drop down here, when you look at your visitors, if a visitor is worth statistically in Queensland $1,200 per visit, okay? So, and a visitor, obviously you're only counting a visitor once, so that's $1,200 over a year, all right? So if you followed the power of 1, and the difference between what you're doing now and what you should be doing is 184, you're going to add in an extra $220,000 into your chapter closed business numbers. And this chapter over here, 1,200 multiplied by 195, which is the difference between these 2 numbers, and you're going to be adding an extra $234,000 into the room. Now that's all well and good, because that's money that members are making because visitors are shopping. Okay, so that opportunity is real, and that opportunity you guys see every single week, okay, when visitors hit your room. Now here's the mind-boggling thing. Your retention figures in this chapter here, I won't tell you what chapter it is, but this chapter here, your retention figures, according to Connect, is 30%, which means that out of 184 extra visitors, you're going to get another 55 members. 55 members by 24 weeks, because this is 6 months, with an average referral value of 364, is $480,000. And if you add all of them together in 6 months, you're going to put an extra $700,000 into your bottom line. And in 12 months, It's 1.4 million. Extra. This is extra. As long as you get good at inviting people to a chapter. And you don't have to change anything. The only thing you have to change is just getting people into the room. You don't have to change your conversion rate. You don't have to change the average value of your visitor. You don't have to change nothing. You just have to bring visitors to the room. Okay? And if you look at this chapter here, it's slightly less. So 23, there's a 12%. These are live figures, by the way. This is taken from your Connect data. This chapter here has got a 12% conversion rate in visitors. 12% of 195 is 23, and it works out at an extra just under $500,000 in 6 months. That's $1 million a year that we're leaving on the table. I just want to let that sink in a little bit. We've done this exercise with other chapters over here in Perth, and some of the Perth chapters are leaving $3 million on the table. I mean, the numbers are just mind-boggling. All right. So yes, passing referrals is massively lucrative. That's why we joined. We joined to get referrals. But the hidden benefit of bringing visitors is that there's so much more of an opportunity to be had with a visitor in the room. There's so much more. And it's for members. I'm talking about members here. Okay. So hopefully the numbers aren't too, you're able to follow them, and they're straightforward enough. If anyone wants to see these figures, I can send them to Bernie, and Bernie can release them, and you can use the template that I developed to put it out to your chapters. But I think it's a good way of identifying and seeing the opportunity it has with visitors. Now, here's the thing. How do we get good at inviting visitors to a chapter? How do we invite people to a chapter? Is it different to invite them to a face-to-face environment, or is it any different to inviting them online? I think before we go into all of the tips and tricks and skills of inviting a visitor, I think what chapters and regions, and I guess even members have got to do is they've got to create a culture of inviting people. It's got to be part of what you do when you're bumping into your network. You've just got to invite people. You just got to be that person who's all the time inviting and excited and passionate about the chapter that you belong to. And if you do that, then you're going to find the whole inviting process a lot easier. And if I'm great at inviting and I keep doing it, then I'm going to rub off some enthusiasm or passion on another member who's then going to rub it off, a little bit like the coronavirus. If I've got it, someone else is going to get it. And you're going to create that environment and culture in your rooms, which is going to breed visitors. All right. And there's 3 ways, I think, that you can use this culture. There's only 3 ways. The first way is start inviting. And let me just hit that home. Start asking people to come to your chapter meeting. All right. And I know, because I'm looking at some of the figures, and some of the figures have got zeros in front of names that over a 6-month period. And I don't believe that no one in the chapter is inviting, that people are inviting lots of people and no one's coming. I just don't believe that. I just think that no one's inviting. And sometimes when I pop into chapters and deliver this message over 10 minutes, I'll say to them, hey, who invited somebody to the chapter meeting this week? Just put your hand up in the air. Be 100% honest and just put your hand up in the air. And you might get 2 people put the hand up. And I go, okay, here's my tip. Start inviting. I've got 8 minutes for questions. Because I just think that we just aren't in the habit of, hey, listen, I need to show you something. I need you to come along on whatever day it is, on whatever time it is, to meet a group of people that actually grow my business with me. I need you to see it. I mean, that's all I've got to do to invite someone. So I think the first way to get better visitor numbers is to start inviting people. And the second way is to focus on your featured presentation or presenter. So focus on that person who's spent all that time and effort and commitment to putting their presentation together, to stand up in front of the room. We're not in Toastmasters here, so these people are maybe not good at presenting and maybe a little bit scared of doing so. So they put all that time and commitment to get in front of that room. Let's help them out by bringing customers to their presentation, so that member, this person that we've committed to growing together with, is going to get some benefit from the visitors that we bring. So there's got no ulterior motive about joining the chapter. Just come along. I want you to see my buddy present. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good contact of mine. He's very professional in his field. I want you to be there when he presents. Okay, so that's a second way of us focusing on getting people into the room. And the third way is by putting together some themed events. Now, I'm not a massive fan of power team or contact sphere days. I'm just not a big fan of it. I'll explain why in a second. The themed days that I'm talking about are a little bit more fun. So I've got a list of them here. A client day. Let's have a client day. We've all got clients, all right? So no one else is allowed to come except my clients, all right? A supplier day, someone we spend money to. So bring the supplier to the room. And they're just two categories. And then we can get really adventurous. How about bring a friend day? We've all got mates. And these are days that if we all got on board with them, we would quite literally double the size of our chapter meetings every week. So bring a friend day, bring a family member day, and you can split that down if you want to. Bring your mom and dad, bring a kid. Imagine everybody in this room brought their child along to the meeting, as long as you've got a child. If you don't have a child, we can arrange one for you. But bringing their child along to the meeting and them doing your presentation, how much of an impact would that be? I mean, I think that would be massive. Bring a relation day, so bring your cousin day, bring your brother or sister day. You can have so much fun in just that family theme. You could then bring a male day, bring a female day, then go down to maybe categories, bring a doctor day or professional day, bring a construction worker day. Just break it down into themes. And I'm not massively into bringing power team members, because I just believe that some of the smaller power teams lose out. And I don't believe in anybody losing out at BNI. Every single person in the chapter we've got to embrace. And sometimes power teams just make us a little bit lazy, because we look after our power team, we hit our KPIs, we're good to go. And poor old small power team member or contact sphere member, or that's someone that's not surrounded by a power team at all, loses out. And what you have to understand is that you are responsible for everybody's success in your room. That is your number one goal as a member. You're responsible for everyone's success. And that doesn't just mean the people in your power team. So that's why I just think themed days are a lot better. And if you can work through them, either just start inviting people, whoever it is, you can just invite anybody. Set yourself the target every week to fill the room for the presenter, and give your presenters time the week prior or 2 weeks prior to say, listen, get your visitors ready, because on this day, I want you to fill the room with this category, this category, this category. And then we've got to do it. And then the last one is putting together those theme days, okay? But all of this is all encompassed in a culture. We've just got to get into that culture, that's all. Inviting people to a face-to-face meeting, inviting people to a Zoom meeting. Personally, I think it's exactly the same. If anything, it's easier to bring them to a Zoom meeting, because I'm not sure what you guys do in terms of charging visitors, but a lot of the barriers are not there for, with the Zoom concept, because they don't have any traffic, they don't have to juggle any kids, they don't have to move any meetings. It's all here. You just get out of bed, put a shirt on, don't worry about the bottom half, and then just rock up. It's so simple to do it. And I'm not 100% sure in terms of your costings with your visitors, but I know that's an easy barrier to jump over also. So when we move back to the face-to-face one, I don't want you to think that that's harder. I just want you to look at it differently, and just use the culture aspect in order to make that happen. But just rewind back a little bit. There's two ways that you can make serious impact into your business with BNI. One of them is to get lots of referrals. Okay, so the way to do that is to have great communication skills and present correctly, and surround yourself by active members. Okay, if somebody was to ask me what's the secret to success in BNI, it's activity. You must be active. If you're not active, stay in bed. Just stay there. You've got to learn how to be active, and that activity then will rub off on the rest of your members, and then they'll be active too. So that's one way. The second way is to embrace the visitors that come to your chapter, and understand that growing the chapter in terms of numbers, or just inviting people along to listen and buy from you, that's another opportunity which a lot of chapters just leave on the table. Okay, you've got two opportunities in your BNI agenda right now to gain, because BNI is all about giving first before you gain. Well, actually, it's massively about giving, and it's only a little bit about gaining, because you've only got an hour a year to present. So why don't you make that opportunity even better for you to gain by inviting visitors? And I just think we just got to get better at that. All right. I run a number of presentations and training on all of these topics. Now that they're on a Zoom platform, you guys are more than welcome to pop along. They're run every single month, and they're typically on the last Thursday or the second last Thursday of the month, depending on what month it is. And you're more than happy to jump on. It's a big ask for you to fly over to Perth, but right now it's so easy. We should embrace the technology that we've got and jump on and see if we can visit each other's chapters and each other's trainings. But you're very welcome to pop on that and find out a little bit more about these topics. I've only got half an hour to actually deliver it here. But you're very welcome to do that. I also run a business development firm right across Australia. It's called Ascentive. It's not a business coaching business. It is 100% designed to show people how to get more clients through referrals, through their network. I've got a tagline is turning other people's contacts into your contracts, and that's exactly what we do. So I'm very passionate about it. I've been doing it now for 20 years, so I kind of understand the concept very, very well. So if anyone needs any advice or any help, or they want to reach out and find out any more information on it, then I'm very, very happy to do so. And I know, and I get the feeling that you guys are you guys get a very relaxed environment up in Northern Queensland. You can see that with the room and the way you presented today, the way you interact with each other, the way you can see that some of you know each other very, very well. So there's really good relationships happening there. Just make sure that you are all looking after each other. And I know you are on the referral side, but ask your members what visitors do they want, and if they're in your network, go for it. Just bring them along. So on that note, I want to open it up. I'm really conscious of your timing, so I don't want to take up too much of your Pareto Club. But has anybody got any questions that they want to ask specifically around what was delivered? It could be around presenting, it could be around inviting visitors, it could be around your own activity yourself. I'm happy to dive in and answer anything.
Yeah, I'd love to ask a question if that's possible, Alvin. That was a great presentation, by the way. And as you noticed, I'm leading the way with 14 visitors. For me, it comes, I guess, so natural. And Tony's the educational coordinator in our chapter. She's doing a great job. And it just comes to me that I'm not sure why other members are holding back from bringing visitors to our chapter. I'm not sure what trigger points we can get to them on why they haven't invited, say, anyone in the last 12 weeks. For me, it comes natural, but I want to understand, you travel all over BNI chapters and stuff like that. Why is there like zero in those chapters? Like, why is there only 2 people raising their hands up for that week for just inviting people? Do you know why?
I think I do. I think I do, Jeff. And listen, you see this right across the world, actually, with chapters. And I think it's a human instinct that people just don't like to be said no to, And there's a great way of you increasing your chances of a visitor coming if all you're doing is just connecting two people together. So my advice to anyone who's looking to invite somebody is not talk about BNI in the sense that, we meet every week and give them all the details, and here's the price, and and there's these people in the room, and there's it's a yearly thing, and don't go into the opportunity side, go into the connection side. So if I've got a referral to pass you, Jeff, well then wouldn't it be awesome if I just brought them with me? You guys are passing so many referrals here. So instead of just passing the slip across the room, bring the referral into the room. So that's one way. The second way is that if I go into my network and I say to them, hey, listen, Jeff, I want you to come and see a group of people that are helping me grow my business. I just want you to see how it operates. Come with me. It's on Friday, 7 o'clock or whatever day it is, at whatever time. Just come with me. And literally that's all I tell them. So I'm not hiding anything. I just want them to see the opportunity and them to make up their own mind if they want to get involved. And I just think that the less is more in this, in the inviting process. So too many people go into it in detail and they get too many no's and they go, you know what, I just don't like the no. I'm just not going to ask anymore. And I think that's why a lot of members don't ask enough visitors. And by the way, I'm delivering this to you as an area director, not an owner. I'm delivering this because my motto is to make members more money. In fact, my motto is with anyone I work with to make sure that they make more money, because it's part of my why. It actually is inbred in me. I was in a situation when I was younger that my father wasn't able to take his product that he had to dive into because his business went bust. He jumped on a friend of his, he owned a business, and he took that product and he tried to, take it into markets, and he wasn't able to do it. And we suffered heavily as a family. We went for years with not being able to put food on the table. And it cuts me up when I think about it. So when I'm now in a position where I can help businesses and help them go from, trying to find clients to being able to do it and successfully do it, all I'm thinking of is putting food on the table for their kids. So when I'm saying to you, bring visitors along to the room, it's 100% for that aspect, to make members more money. There's more opportunity in passing, more opportunity than just passing referrals to members. Okay, and you guys have got that. You've absolutely kicked big goals in terms of bringing referrals into the room. So let's just look at the other options. What else is there? Let's get serious. What else is there? How else can we grow our business? Well, let's bring some visitors along. And I just think if we create that culture, we're going to be better at it. Yeah.
Alvin, it's David, mate. You made a very interesting point when you spoke about your membership committee will guard and guide your chapter members. Obviously, if you're on a membership committee, you're dealing with a myriad of personalities, attitudes within that chapter. I haven't come across a chapter yet where everybody is the same. So I guess a couple of questions. So what do you see makes an effective membership committee? What are you looking for? But also, that's basically what do you look for when you're looking at people putting membership committees together? What are the traits? Because I think the membership committee are the gatekeepers. They are the ones responsible, and the perception, rightly or wrongly, is they're the bad cop. When in actual fact they're not the bad cop. I don't think they're the bad cop, but I'd just be curious, and I think everybody else may be curious, just on what you would be looking for and what you think defines an effective membership committee.
So, look, you're 100% right in that every chapter is different, and every chapter has got different personalities and so forth. So it's a little bit, it's never going to happen that you're going to get the correct people in the correct seats all the time. And that's why BNI has got a playbook. It's got a system that we all follow, and that system is like that thick. It's very well documented and detailed. So here's what I say to committee members or anybody who takes a role. If you're going to take a role, do it. Don't take the role and not do it, because you're letting down the chapter. You're letting down all of the members that rely on you to do that small little task in your committee. And there should be a minimum of 4 people. There should always be even numbers, if you ask me, because of voting and stuff. So you stick even numbers in your chapter. One person looks after participation, and that they do it. They check the PAMs. They look for members who aren't making money. How can we help you? David, you haven't sort of kicked many goals in the last 6 months. How can we help you? It's really with that premise that they approach the members. That's the participation person. They work heavily with a mentor. David, let's put you with a mentor. Let's get you working on that front. So participation person has a small little role. The application person has a small role. The attendance person has a small role. The relationship or the conflict person has a small role. Now, I know we've got all different names for those seats, but essentially that's what the 4 seats are. But the time that one of the members on the committee don't do their role is when they let every single member in that chapter down. Because you got to remember that a well-oiled committee means you've got a well-oiled chapter. And I want to be part of a well-oiled chapter, so you better make sure that you do your role, you know? And that's my attitude as a member to the committee. So I've almost flipped it around to say, hey, committee, you better pull your socks up. Not the committee turning to me saying, hey, Alvin, you pull your socks up. I'm doing it the other way around. So I always want to make sure I've got an active committee, because otherwise it's not fair. We all paid money to get involved in our chapters, you know, we've got a commitment there. So, and its commitment is heavily guarded by an MC, you know, and a vice president who chairs that. So that's what I'd look for. Just if you're going to do the role, then do it. Don't not do it, because you're letting people down. There is going to be lots of different personalities and behavioral styles in the room, and sometimes you're just not going to get the right mix.
Thanks, mate.
So guys, that was impressive, Alvin. Well done. Guys, maybe you've got time for just one more short question. One more short one. This is your opportunity. We've got the brains trust of Alvin Cooney here in the room. One more question for Alvin.
Can I go specific here, Bernie? The last question we sort of talked about memberships and the committee and really stepping up, but given Alvin's talk was about visitors and inviting visitors, let's talk about that visitor team and those roles. Perhaps you can enlighten us on something, just some tips there, perhaps, Alvin.
Yeah, okay. Is this in relation to Zoom meetings, or in terms of face-to-face, or both?
Let's start off with Zoom. Perhaps there's some commonality in both, but let's make it Zoom, because that's where we are now. Okay,
well, one thing that I actually found a little bit alarming when we started the Zoom calls is that all the presidents were going, and here's our MC, and this is our education coordinator, and this is our visitor hosts. Actually, they don't do much now because we're on Zoom. They don't do anything, so they're actually redundant. So I'll just list the names here, and then we'll move on. But in actual fact, they're more important on Zoom. So here's what I would suggest that you do with your Zoom meetings. Is when a visitor pops into the room, that you bounce them off to a visitor host breakout room. And the visitor host is there, and hey, I see you waving, and so that's probably happening. And all you do is you just orientate me about what's going to happen. Hey, Alvin, check it out. This is going to be awesome. You're going to see a bunch of fantastic presenters. They're really good. A wide array of categories, expert in their field. You're going to see them asking for specific requests, and I'm going to roll out the meeting like that. So now I'm enthused about sitting in the meeting. I'm also going to make sure that, you're going to make sure I'm on Connect. Is your data here, Alvin? It is. Oh yeah, perfect. I'm going to mark you as present. Boom. Now I'm going to be involved in BNI Engage. I'm going to get all the BNI emails and stuff. And then you're going to bounce me back into the room for the meeting. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And the second thing, at the end of the meeting, then just move them back into that same room with you. And Ian, I'm looking at you because I'm guessing you're the visitor host. You've built a relationship, or whoever it is, the visitor host has built that relationship with that visitor right at the beginning to, extend that relationship and then do the orientation with them at the end. So that's my number one go-to with visitor hosts online. And then afterwards, when we do get back to face, just make sure that you're a host, you're a visitor and a member. Well, it should be just called a host rather than a visitor host. But in terms of visitors, you're there to make sure that you're the first impression to the visitor into the room. You're also the last impression. And then you're the next day impression, and you've got such a great opportunity to grow your business in their eyes, and also further that relationship by getting them to become a member of the room. I just think that some visitor hosts don't take it as serious as that. If I was a visitor host, I'd be judging my role after my year with how big the chapter is. And just understand that it is a huge role. It is so important. I know all of the directors will tell you this at training. Your role is the most important. But let me tell you, the visitor host role is the make or break. People, unfortunately, make decisions based on covers. You know that saying, you don't read a book. What's that saying about reading a book?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. But let's face it, we all do. We all do. So understand that visitors are judging your book as well. So your visitor hosts are instrumental in that aspect.
Great advice. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Bernie.
Wow, well done, Alvin. Let's have a collective round of applause for Alvin Cooney all the way from Perth. Thank you. Really powerful, Alvin, and I appreciate. Yeah, excellent.
It's still early for me, guys. Thank you.
Fantastic. I